welcome to Computology Academy. And as you have already seen some of the slides, some of the pictures of what is going on in Joshimath and what are the issues involved in Joshimath, and that is why it is surfacing in the news time and again in the present time. So here we are going to discuss about Joshimath, whether it was development or a disaster for Joshimath. And why we are saying this, we will discuss in detail what were the lacunas in the government plans and policies, what were the mistakes that were committed at that very time while the project was being decided and designed, as well as what would have been done in accordance with the geology and the geography of the region. So all these things will be discussed in detail, and those who are first on this channel, please do subscribe the channel and press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new videos. Such kind of videos are uploaded regularly on our channel. So let us start. First of all, even now the first slide says many things. There are various hidden messages. As you can see here, half of the building is as it is and half of the building is completely destroyed. And here you can see the pillar is leaning in front of the building, broken building. As in the background you can see over here that massive landslides are over there. And these are the debris of the destroyed buildings and other things. So here, this is a natural disaster which would have been avoided. However, here this has happened because of the anthropogenic activities. And now let us start here. These things are in news. And why it is in news? Because many of the people have lost their dwelling, and many of the people's dwelling are not fit for residing over there because of the destruction that has been caused because of the disaster. Here you can see that there is a crack in the wall of a building which the person is staying over here, and here you can see a temple is completely destroyed. Only a single pillar is standing as it is. And in this picture you can see here that in front of the house, just there, the pavement is completely cracked, broken, and here the road itself is having cracks, massive cracks, and it is now unfit for commutation. And still there is a word and signboard that work in progress. What kind of work is in progress? So these are the things because of which nowadays Joshimath is in news. And here the issue, what is the issue? So the issue surfaced in October 2021 itself, when there were cracks visible in few of the houses that were in Joshimath. But at that very time, government did what? Government compensated them monetarily, and they were told by the government that just either relocate or repair your house. And as it is, the work was going on. But what happened within a year? In January 2023, just after a year, what happened? There were massive cracks, leaning of buildings, damages to the infrastructures, and more than 700 dwellings were destroyed, or the buildings were destroyed due to the cracks, due to the instability in their foundation, due to the leaning of the houses or the dwellings or the infrastructures. And because of this it became a massive news in the national media, and it should have become a news way ahead of this situation. Then this situation might have been avoided. So here now come to the issue of displacement. Because of such issues, what is happening? There is a considerable displacement going on in Joshimath, because many of the houses have been marked in the red cross, and they are named as unfit for residence because they are dangerous. In any case, if the house collapses, then there will be loss of livelihood, life also. Right now, there is just loss of livelihood. So, Around 150 families have been relocated with immediate effect from their residential dwellings in Joshimath. And for that matter, this is not enough, because in total there are 700 buildings, more than 700 buildings, because this is not a exact figure, this is a probable figure, and it is said that there might be more. And that is why here, if 700 buildings have been destroyed due to the cracks and instability in their foundation and structure, because of which they are rendered unfit for dwelling, then only 150 families have been relocated, and many more are going to be relocated in this region, because in this much number of the buildings, many more families might have been residing, because in a single building it is possible that 2 to 3 families might have been residing, and that is why it is going to be more. The number of displaced families is going to be more, and for that matter, huge cost of relocation will be involved. And with the immediate effect, the state government have sanctioned 45 crore fund for the relocation of affected families. But this is not going to be enough, because the number of families is going to increase, as well as the amount that is needed to relocate them will bound to be increase. And here that cost is just the monetary cost. Apart from that, if we go on to discuss, then there is breakdown of social fabric. The people live in a social net, and that is why the people know their neighborhood, know their immediate neighbors and relatives, etc. But when they are relocated, in that case what happens, they go on to get relocated in such a location in where they might not be knowing their immediate neighbors. There may not be the people who will take care of them in case of need, in case of illness, or whatever it is. So it will cause the relocation, and the development will cause the damage to the social fabric also, and that is happening over here. As well as the people are suffering from mental stress because of the loss of their ancestral house, their dwellings, their livelihood. And it happens because many of the people get accustomed to live at a particular place among particular peoples, but when they are forced to leave that environment, that surrounding, then it becomes very difficult for some of the people to get acclimatized to the new conditions, and because of that they go on to suffer from mental stress. And the same thing is going to happen over here also, and it is happening with many people. And many people get stressed because of the fear of losing what they had since time immemorial in their family. They had inherited it from their ancestors, and their ancestors had inherited it from their ancestors, and now they have to leave that region, leave that property, leave that dwelling, and because of this it is going to cause the mental stress. And here again, the loss of livelihood, many of the people may get rendered unemployed. There would be no avenues of ensuring their livelihood. There will be no source of income, and because of this again there will be breakdown in social fabric. There may be increase in the law and order situation, there may be increase in the substance abuse, various other issues will arise out of this. And that is why it is said, whether it was a development or a disaster, man-made disaster. Next, come to the geography, why it is happening. So the geographical condition of the region is a very important thing, because of which it is happening. And as we know that Joshimath is located at a height of 6,107 feet, and it is a considerable height, where there will be various factors which will be impacting the geology or the geography of the region, because this will fall into the periglacial region, and the repeated and cyclic freezing and thawing of the water makes the structures unstable by this process itself, and again because of the developmental activities the structures are being weakened further, and that is going to cause the disaster in the region. It is bound to happen over there. Next is here the location of the Joshimath is above Kumaon Himalayas. It is located in the Greater Himalayan Ranges region, and it is very active region, very fragile region, because of which there is going to be various disasters, it is a completely disaster prone area, and still the government started the developmental activities over there. As well as there is very high gradient, which means that the angle of the slope in the region is very high. It is greater than the normally what we find in the plains and the other regions, and because of this, if a slight instability will be there, then the structures are bound to fall down along the slope because of the gravitational pull itself, because of this high gradient, high angle of slope. So these are the factors which are going to impact the region, and these are geographically available over there because of the geographical condition of the region. Now, if we go on to look at the map, then here what we find that already you can see over here that Joshimath is located in the Himalayan ranges. This white region clearly specifies that this is a region of very high altitude, and because of this you will find over here that this is in the Greater Himalayan region. Here you will find that this is the region of the Kumaon Himalayas, and it is near to the China border. Here you can see this is the road which joins Tibet to the Xinjiang province. So it becomes a strategically important region, and there should be some kind of infrastructural activities to ensure the safety and security of the borders of India. As you can see over here that in this region there is a road where you will see that this road approaches to the border region. This road approaches to the border region, and this is the entry point which provides the provides the location from where China can enter India in case of any war or in case of any aggression. So to stop China, restrict China from entering India, the ITBP camp is already here in Joshimath, which will restrict this entry of the Chinese troops, and they will confront them. As well as here you can see Kedarnath is here, Badrinath is here, and these are the links to the Char Dham. These are the destinations of the Char Dham tourism circuit, and for that matter also the government is developing the infrastructure, but the scale of development of infrastructure is very high. As well as what happens, these regions are completely fertile region, these are in the tectonically active regions, but the government is not giving due consideration to these things, and because of which the geology of the region will cause the damages to the life and livelihood of the people in this region. How? Because first of all, this Joshimath is located and situated on a deposit of landslide. In the geological time scale previously, there huge landslide had happened, and on the debris, on the sand and rock debris of that landslide, this Joshimath city is located, and a debris of landslide in itself is a unstable structure, and on an unstable structure you are developing the infrastructure, then your infrastructure is definitely going to be unstable and it will cause disaster. already it is a hazardous region, right? As well as this region is located in zone 5, seismically active zonation is done in India, and accordingly the zone 5 is seismically most active and vulnerable seismic zone. Those regions which are classified under the zone 5 of the seismic activity are the more hazardous region, where there is very high probability of experiencing the earthquakes and disasters due to the earthquakes. But as per the definition, if there is any hazard, then it does not become a disaster until and unless effectively it impacts the life and livelihood of the human beings. So it is a hazardous region, but the people, the anthropogenic activities are making it disastrous, right? And as per the studies, this Joshimath lies between the two thrust zones, the main central thrust zone and the Vikriti thrust zone. So the thrust zones are the zones where the sediments and the geosynclines of the Tethys Sea are being compressed, and those are getting uplifted, and they are forming the part of the Himalayan ranges through the orographic activity. So tectonically they are compressing, these thrust zones are compressing the material, the geosynclinal material that was available in between the two plates, that is the Indian plate. So the Indian plate is pushing towards the Eurasian plate, and due to this it is already a tectonically active and seismically active region, and that thrust zone, the zone between these two plates, is the thrust zone where the synclines are getting uplifted due to the compressive force of the two plates. So again, the tectonic activity region also, this is the most fertile and most seismically active region, and because of that it is bound to experience various hazards, but it will get converted to disaster because of the human activities, because of the availability of high population over there, as well as the slope mobility is very high. And why this slope mobility is very high? Because of the tectonic activity, already the plates are moving, and if the plates will move, then definitely along with the plates the slopes will also move, and because of that what is happening, the slope structure, the configuration of the slope is changing continuously, although it is not perceptible and it is not visible with naked eyes, but in the long term it will be perceptible quite easily, and that will cause various damages to the life and livelihood of the people, as well as the impact of rainfall. And there was the issue of that Badrinath flood and all those kind of things, which was easily visible that how disastrous it was. It had completely wiped out the whole region, and because of the high mountain ranges, Himalayan mountain ranges, time and again there is going to be cloud burst due to the orographic upliftment of the clouds, and due to that there will be torrential rain, and this heavy torrential rain will get percolated, the water will get percolated underground, and as this is a landslide debris, so this is going to be most unstable, because the percolated water will provide the lubricating effect in the debris, and through that the debris, the material, the rocks will become mobile, as it is quite visible that in many of the regions, many of the places of Joshimath, many of the water pipelines have got bent because of the movement of the land material, the soil and the rocks. So already it is going on over there, but it is going on slowly, and because of that many of the people think that ki jand ho raha hai, but it is not the case. in the long run it is going to be very disastrous, and that is getting fast forwarded because of the developmental activities, as well as the strata of the rock is again a major cause of the disaster in this region. What happens when there is formation of mountain due to the upliftment of the synclinal material, then the strata of the rock is placed like this, the configuration is like this, and due to the construction of the road, one side of the slope is getting cut down, and due to this the removal of this material makes this upper strata a free hanging structure which is bound to slide over the structure which is immediately under it whenever there will be slightest of the instability in the equilibrium, whether it is due to the seismic activity, whether it is due to the rainfall. So if that happens, then again there will be massive landslide and disaster. So again the rock strata is again a major factor because of which there are disasters, there are hazardous situation. Next is the rock type. So the uplifted material, the rocks in the Himalayan region are metamorphic rocks, and the metamorphic rocks are not so hard and not so strong to stabilize the slopes that much that the huge infrastructures can be developed over there, and because of that there should be least amount of infrastructural development with low level of intensity so that the stability of the rocks does not get disturbed. So these things should be kept in mind. And now come to the anthropogenic activities, the biggest culprit, the major reason behind the instability in this region. So here the township, on the township of the Joshimath, earlier a study had been conducted in 1976 by MC Misra committee, and this MC Misra committee was constituted by the then UP government, because at that very time Uttarakhand was not a separate state, but Joshimath was also in the state of Uttar Pradesh itself. And at that very time the MC Misra committee had already mentioned it, that this city is located on a debris of the landslide, old landslide, and for that matter there should not be too much of the developmental activities, and the population density and the population pressure on this region should be kept as low as possible. However, at present time it is around 23,000. The total population of the city is about 23,000, and many of the people will say that 23,000 is not that much of the population, but in the hilly region it is a considerable population. And for that matter, this is just the local population, but the footfall of the tourists, the pilgrims, already increases the pressure in this region. There is huge influx of the tourists as well, and for that matter the pressure on the township is already very high, and that is causing various adverse impacts on the geology and geographical condition of that township. As well as now the new development, the 520 megawatt Tapovan Vishnugad hydropower project being constructed by NTPC, and time and again concerns have been raised by the environmentalists because of the construction of this project. Hydroelectric project is causing various adverse impacts in the region. Basically the vibration due to the tunnel boring machine being used by the NTPC for the construction of the tunnels is causing instability on various slopes, and already the township is on the landslide, old landslide debris, so already it is fragile, and this vibration is again causing the movement of the debris of that landslide, and it is going to cause disaster in the region. As well as in 2009 this tunnel boring machine had punctured one of the aquifers in the region, and because of that huge amount of water was flooded out of that aquifer, and that had again caused various disastrous effects in the region. The water table has gone down. There is contamination in the water. So all these effects are already visible in that region, as well as the infrastructure construction, the road construction, the hotels and other things due to the Char Dham project, the tourism and the pilgrimage circuit being developed in that region. Although they can be developed, but the scale should be kept as low as possible according to the ecological condition, geological condition of the region. But if somebody goes on to visit Joshimath, then they will realize that the construction is going on at a massive scale. However, along with the Char Dham, this region is again strategically important, as we have seen already in the previous slide. So there should be sufficient infrastructure for mobilizing the troops in case of any adverse condition with China along the border. However, that should be kept as low as possible according to the ecological condition and as high as possible as the need. So the balance should be made. Only one thing should not be considered, but the balance, a proper and feasible balance should be there during the development of the infrastructure, as well as lack of drainage system and the sewerage system in the region is again causing adverse impact in the stability, geological stability in the region. Because most of the household, most of the people, as well as even the government infrastructures, the government establishments are not using the sewerage system. There is no availability of the sewerage system, and the people just use one pit or two pit to discard their sewage, and that sewage that gets percolated underground from that pit, and because of that it again provides lubrication underground as well as contamination, and it is causing disasters in the region, right? So all these things should be studied properly, should be kept in mind. Although the government might have conducted the environmental impact study, assessment and all those kind of things, but I think that was not up to the mark, that was not properly done. And because of that, this kind of disasters, this kind of adverse impacts are visible over there in Joshimath, and this should be addressed in a prudent, practical and proper way, so that the government should avoid such kind of adverse impacts. Because already there is a concept in environment and ecology as well as in geography also, that there is a go and no go region on the earth. So the go regions are those regions where you can go on to do the developmental work, while in the no go regions you should not go on to do the developmental work, or you should not mingle or tinkle with the environment and nature. Otherwise, if the nature goes on to take the revenge on you, it will become disastrous for you, right? So these things should be kept in mind, which the people are not thinking properly about, and that is why they are facing such kinds of disaster. Even the government have not learned from the disasters that is visible along the Western Ghats. Time and again the floods, the landslides and the other things are occurring over there, the Latur earthquake. So such kind of things have already happened earlier also, but the government and the people who are designing such projects are not taking any kind of learning from such kind of events, but they should do, right? So here we finish off, and do subscribe our channel and press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new videos, and do follow us on our Facebook and Instagram handle. This is our Telegram channel. This is our website where already various free and the paid courses are available. Various free and the paid test series are also available. So you can go on to visit the website also.